The thunder crashed like the world was ending, and I was soaked to the bone, pounding on my brother Jordan's door in the pouring Seattle rain. He wasn't home, off on one of his late-night shifts at the hospital, saving lives while I drowned in my own mess. But Riley, his best friend since their wild freshman year at UW, swung it open with that easy grin that always twisted something deep in my gut, a feeling I'd buried under layers of denial. "Stay the night, Alex," he said, his voice a steady anchor in the howling wind, pulling me inside before I could stammer an excuse, unaware that those words would unravel the fragile threads of my carefully guarded world. I stood there in the entryway, water pooling at my feet like tears I refused to shed, my backpack slung heavy over one shoulder with the weight of textbooks I hadn't cracked in weeks. At 22, I was supposed to have it figured out. Junior year at community college, dreaming of transferring to something bigger, maybe film studies in LA, but instead, I was crashing at Jordan's more nights than not, escaping the suffocating silence of our parents' house in the suburbs. Jordan, 25 and already a resident with that unbreakable big brother armor, had become my reluctant lifeline. And Riley? God, Riley was the complication I never saw coming. 24, with that effortless charm that turned heads at the coffee shop where he slung lattes by day and sketched graffiti art on abandoned warehouses by night. He was the kind of guy who made you question everything without saying a word. He handed me a towel, his fingers brushing mine just long enough to send a jolt up my arm, and I mumbled a thanks, avoiding his eyes as I dried off. The house smelled like fresh ground coffee and the faint pine of the evergreens outside, a far cry from the sterile apartment I'd left behind after my last roommate bailed. Jordan texted he'd be late, some emergency appendectomy, Riley explained, leaning against the kitchen counter with that casual grace, his dark curls still tousled from whatever he'd been doing before the storm hit. But hey, mi casa es su casa. Or Jordan's, I guess. He laughed, low and warm, and I forced a smile, hating how it made my chest tighten. We ended up in the living room, the storm raging outside like it was furious at being left out. Riley poured us both mugs of chamomile tea, his go-to for calming the chaos. He'd once told Jordan during one of their marathon gaming sessions that I'd eavesdropped on from my room. I cradled mine, the steam rising like ghosts of conversations we hadn't had, and sank into the worn leather couch that Jordan had scored from a garage sale. The TV flickered on some indie flick about lost souls in the Pacific Northwest, but neither of us paid it much mind. Instead, Riley sprawled out opposite me, his legs stretched long, bare feet propped on the coffee table, and started asking questions that cut too close to the bone. "So, what's eating you tonight, Alex? You look like you just ran from a bad breakup." His tone was light, but his eyes, those deep brown pools flecked with gold, held a knowing glint, like he could see the cracks in my facade from a mile away. I shrugged, staring into my mug as if it held the answers. "Just stuff. Class is sucking, parents on my case about getting serious." The usual lie. The real storm was inside me, the one that had been brewing since high school, when I'd first noticed how Riley's laugh made my pulse race during those awkward family barbecues. Jordan's best friend, off limits in every way that mattered. Gay? Bi? Hell, I didn't even know what label fit the ache that hit me whenever a guy like him walked into a room. But admitting that, in this house, with Jordan's straight-laced world all around us, it felt like inviting the lightning to strike twice. Riley nodded, not pushing, but not letting it drop either. Seattle's got a way of amplifying the noise in your head, all that gray sky mirroring the gray areas. He paused, sipping his tea, and I swear the room grew smaller, the air thicker. "You know, Jordan worries about you. Says you're too quiet lately, like you're carrying the weight of the world on those skinny shoulders." I snorted, but it came out brittle. Jordan worries about everyone. Hero complex. It was true. Our brother was the golden child, the one who'd come out to mom and dad as straight and proud at 18, dated cheerleaders, now saving lives in the ER. Me? I'd spent my teens hiding crushes on the soccer captain, convincing myself it was just admiration. Until Riley started showing up more, crashing on the couch after late nights, his presence a constant hum under my skin. The power flickered then, the lights dimming to a moody amber before surging back, and Riley cursed under his breath. Damn grid. Happens every storm. He stood, crossing to the window, his silhouette framed against the sheets of rain. You ever feel like life's just one big blackout? Lights go out, and suddenly you're seeing things you didn't want to. My heart hammered. Was he talking about the weather, or? I set my mug down, the clink too loud in the sudden quiet. All the time, I whispered, the words slipping out before I could cage them. He turned, slow, his gaze locking onto mine across the room. For a beat, the storm outside faded, and it was just us, two guys on the precipice of something neither had named. Then the thunder rolled again, shattering the moment, and Riley grinned, breaking the tension like it was glass. Well, if we're stuck, might as well make it interesting. Ever played Never Have I Ever? Jordan hates it, but he's not here. I laughed despite myself, the sound rusty from disuse. You're on. But fair warning, I'm terrible at holding back. As the night deepened, the game started innocently enough. Never have I ever skipped class to binge Netflix. Both of us drank. Never have I ever gotten a tattoo on a dare. Riley lifted his sleeve to show a small wave curling around his forearm, inked during a road trip to the Oregon coast. But the questions turned, like the storm twisting outside, delving into territories marked with warning signs. Never have I ever lied to my family about who I am. My hand trembled as I raised my mug, the tea long gone cold, and Riley's eyes softened, his own drink pausing midair. Alex, he set his mug down, leaning forward, elbows on knees, the space between us shrinking to nothing. It's okay, you know. Whatever it is. I swallowed hard, the confession clawing its way up my throat. It's not just one thing. It's everything. Jordan, he's got his life together. And me? I'm just the little brother floundering, pretending I'm fine while I'm. The word stuck, hot and heavy. Gay. Questioning. Terrified of what it meant in a family that loved me but didn't know me. Riley reached out then, his hand covering mine on the couch cushion, warm and steady. You're not floundering. You're figuring it out. And Jordan? He'd kill for you, man. But you don't have to carry this alone. His thumb brushed my knuckles, a feather-light touch that ignited every nerve, and I froze, breath caught in the storm of his proximity. The power cut out for real this time, plunging us into darkness broken only by the occasional flash of lightning. In that void, with the rain drumming a frantic rhythm, Riley's voice emerged soft, almost a whisper. Never have I ever felt this pull toward someone I shouldn't. My world tilted. In the shadows, his face was a map of earnest lines, eyes searching mine for permission I wasn't sure I could give. But God, I wanted to. The hook of the night had reeled me in, and now, with thunder echoing my heartbeat, I leaned in, closing the distance, our lips meeting in a tentative brush that tasted like rain and revelation. It was soft at first, exploratory, like testing the waters of a riptide. Riley's hand cupped my jaw, gentle but sure, and I melted into it, the years of denial dissolving in the heat of his mouth. When we pulled back, gasping, the air hummed with what we'd unleashed. Alex, he murmured, forehead against mine. I've wanted this since the first time I saw you sneak a glance at me during that Seahawks game last fall. I laughed, shaky, the sound mingling with the downpour. I thought I was subtle, but I wasn't, not with him. And in that blackout moment, with Jordan's house our unintended sanctuary, I realized subtlety had no place here. Not anymore. The lights flickered back on slowly, bathing us in a hesitant glow, but neither of us moved. Instead, Riley pulled me closer, his arm draping over my shoulders like it belonged there, and we talked, really talked, for the first time. About his own coming out at 20, the fallout with his conservative folks in Spokane who'd shipped him off to Seattle like a problem to solve. About the art he poured his heart into, murals of queer icons hidden in alleyways, symbols of defiance and hope. About how he'd fallen for Jordan's stories of his genius kid brother long before he met me, only to find the reality even better. Hours slipped by, the storm easing to a steady patter, and I felt seen, truly seen, for the first time. No judgments, no pity, just Riley's quiet strength wrapping around my frayed edges. When Jordan's key finally rattled in the lock around 3 a.m., we sprang apart like guilty teens, but the secret lingered in our shared glances, a promise etched in the space between heartbeats. He crashed in late the next morning, hungover from the adrenaline of the ER, oblivious to the shift in the air. Storm was a beast, huh? You two survived. Jordan ruffled my hair, same as always, and clapped Riley on the back with a bro hug that made my stomach twist, not with jealousy, but with the dawning fear of what came next. Riley shot me a wink over his coffee, casual as ever. Barely, but Alex here? Tougher than he looks. And just like that, the night we'd shared hung between us, a fragile bridge over the chasm of confession. The days blurred into a tense normalcy after that. Jordan's shifts kept him scarce, leaving Riley to house sit more often than not, and I'd find excuses to drop by, needing notes from his old psych textbooks, borrowing Jordan's truck for a campus run. Each visit stretched longer, stolen moments piling up like kindling. A brush of hands in the kitchen while making sandwiches. His laughter echoing as we binge-watched old rom-coms, my head on his shoulder by the third episode. Kisses in the hallway when Jordan texted he was running late, quick and hungry, like we were borrowing time from fate. But the guilt gnawed at me, sharp as the November chill seeping through the windows. Jordan deserved better than secrets whispered in his own home. He was the brother who defended me from bullies in middle school, who'd driven me to my first Pride event last summer just to check it out, never pushing when I clammed up about why it hit so hard. Telling him about Riley felt like betraying that trust, like dragging him into my chaos. Riley sensed it, of course. One evening, as we walked the leaf-strewn paths of Volunteer Park, the Space Needle piercing the dusk like a beacon, he stopped under a canopy of maples, turning me to face him. "This isn't just a fling, Alex. Not for me." His voice was raw, stripped of its usual playfulness, and he traced the line of my jaw with his thumb, eyes fierce. "But we can't keep dancing around Jordan forever. He needs to know." I pulled away, the words sticking like thorns. "What if it ruins everything? He's your best friend. My brother. One wrong move, and what?" Riley stepped closer, undeterred, his breath mingling with mine in the crisp air. "You think love's supposed to be easy? Mine wasn't. Hell, it cost me my family for years. But you're worth every risk." He kissed me then, deep and unyielding, the city lights twinkling like distant stars approving our defiance. That night, back at the house, the decision crystallized. Jordan stumbled in early for once, takeout tie in hand, and we sat around the kitchen table, the scent of curry masking the tension coiling in my gut. "Guys' night," he suggested, oblivious, popping open a beer. But Riley and I exchanged a look, the kind that said now or never. "Jordan," I started, voice steadier than I felt, "there's something I need to tell you. About me. About us." The word hung there, heavy with implication, and as his brow furrowed in confusion, I launched into it. The confusion, the awakening, the night of the storm that had cracked me open. Riley's hand found mine under the table, a silent anchor, and when I got to him, how his grin had been my undoing, how we'd fallen into this beautiful mess. Jordan's face shifted from shock to something softer, pained but proud. "Dude," he said finally, after a long silence broken only by the hum of the fridge, "I knew you were wrestling with something. Wish you'd said sooner." He pulled me into a hug, fierce and familiar, then clapped Riley on the shoulder. Not a bro hug this time, but something deeper, laced with warning and acceptance. "You heard him, and I'll kick your ass. But, damn my brother? That's some plot twist." Laughter broke the ice, tentative at first, then real, echoing through the house like the storm had never happened. It wasn't perfect, awkward silences followed, questions about what now lingering like fog, but it was ours. A family redefined, not broken. Winter crept in, blanketing Seattle in its signature drizzle, but our world brightened. Riley and I navigated the newness with tentative joy. First official date at a hole-in-the-wall queer bar in Capitol Hill, where he sketched me on a napkin amid the thump of indie beats. Lazy Sundays tangled in sheets at his tiny studio apartment overlooking Lake Union, whispering dreams of road trips down the coast. Jordan even started double-dating us with his new girlfriend, Mia, a nurse from his floor with a laugh like wind chimes. Group hikes up to Rattlesnake Ledge, where the views stretched endless, mirroring the possibilities ahead. Yet, the kinks emerged, as they do in any story worth telling. Riley's ex, a brooding artist named Theo who'd ghosted him after a messy split, resurfaced via a late-night call, drunk and desperate, stirring old insecurities. "He always comes back when he's lonely," Riley confessed one night, pacing my dorm room while I crammed for finals. "Makes me wonder if I'm just the safe choice." I pulled him down beside me, our knees knocking in the cramped space. "Safe? Babe, you're the storm I never saw coming. The one that washed away all the bullshit and left me standing." We made love then, slow and reaffirming, bodies mapping the truths words couldn't touch. But doubt lingered, a shadow that followed us into the new year. The real tempest hit in February, when Mom and Dad announced a surprise visit, flying in from the suburbs for family time, code for checking if Jordan and I were still on track. Panic set in. We'd kept things quiet from them, not out of shame, but timing. Jordan, ever the buffer, suggested a casual dinner at his place, but Riley and I knew it was do or die. The night arrived with flurries dusting the streets, the table laden with pot roast and Mia's apple pie. Mom's eyes, sharp as ever, caught the subtle shifts. The way Riley's hand lingered on my back when he passed the rolls, the ease in our banter that spoke of nights beyond friendship. Dad cleared his throat midway through dessert. Fort paused. So, boys, anything new we should know about? The room held its breath. Jordan shot me a nod, solid as oak, and I dove in, voice trembling but true. The journey, the love, the man who'd shown me home could be a person, not a place. Tears welled in Mom's eyes, not rejection, but the ache of missing pieces of her son's story. Dad, quieter, reached across to squeeze my hand. We raised you to be brave, Alex. It's just another chapter. Relief crashed over us like waves on Alki Beach. Hugs exchanged amid sniffles and toasts with cheap Merlot. Riley, eyes shining, whispered later as we washed dishes side by side. Told you. Worth the risk. Spring bloomed defiant that year, cherry blossoms rioting pink against the gray, and with it came decisions that tested our roots. I transferred to UW at last, film program humming with promise, while Riley's murals caught a gallery's eye. A solo show downtown, themes of hidden loves and reclaimed spaces. We dreamed aloud on ferry rides to Bainbridge, hands intertwined against the salt spray, a life stitched from our threads. Jordan as the best man at some future altar, parents learning the language of pride flags. But love, I've learned, isn't a straight path. It's the scenic route, full of detours and breathtaking views. One humid June evening, as the solstice sun dipped low, painting the sound in golds and crimsons, Riley dropped to one knee on the deck of his apartment, a simple silver band glinting in his palm. Not a proposal, not yet, but a vow. Stay with me, Alex. Not just the night. All of them. Tears blurred the horizon, but my yes was fierce, echoing the thunder of that first storm. In the quiet that followed, with Jordan's cheers drifting from the phone on speaker, I realized the real hook wasn't the unexpected, it was the inevitability. The way two souls, adrift in their own tempests, could collide and calm each other. We built something unbreakable, not in spite of the risks, but because of them. A love that honored the boy I'd hidden, the friend who'd bridged worlds, the brother who'd held the line. And as the stars wheeled overhead, Seattle's lights a constellation of second chances, I knew. This was the after I'd never expected, but always deserved. The afterglow of that confession lingered like the scent of rain-soaked earth, but reality has a way of seeping back in, muddying the clarity. The next week dragged with midterms and Riley's double shifts at the cafe. Our texts a lifeline of emojis and inside jokes, a winking face for the memory of his lips on my neck, a storm cloud for the exhaustion we both carried. I threw myself into editing a short film for class, a grainy piece about fractured families mending under neon lights, pouring my raw edges into every cut. Jordan noticed, of course, cornering me one afternoon in his kitchen while Riley was out grabbing groceries. You two seem solid, he said, chopping onions for chili with more force than necessary. His eyes, the same hazel as mine, flicked up wary. But if he's pushing you too fast, he's not. I leaned against the counter, arms crossed to hide the tremor. It's me, actually. Scared shitless, but in a good way. Like jumping off a cliff and realizing you can fly. Jordan paused, knife hovering, a soft smile cracking his stoic front. That's how it was with Mia. Terrifying. Beautiful. He clapped my shoulder, the gesture grounding. Just communicate, yeah? Don't bottle it like I did with Dad after Mom left. His words stuck, a reminder that our family tree was riddled with splits. Mom's abrupt departure when I was 10, Dad's quiet retreat into work. Jordan had shouldered the glue roll, and now, with Riley in the mix, I vowed not to add more cracks. That promise tested sooner than I thought. Riley's gallery show loomed, a whirlwind of deadlines that left him frayed, snapping at baristas one day, sketching furiously the next. I found him one evening slumped on his studio floor, surrounded by half-finished canvases of swirling blues and golds, abstract hearts tangled in thorns. Theo emailed again. He admitted when I knelt beside him, my hand on his knee. Says he's sorry, wants to talk. As if. Jealousy flared, hot and irrational. Visions of Theo's Instagram-perfect life, tanned beaches in LA, exes orbiting like satellites, clashing with our cozy chaos. You gonna meet him? The words came sharper than intended. Riley's head snapped up, hurt flashing. What? No. Alex, it's you. Always. But doubt had slipped in, a sliver under the skin. We argued then, voices rising over the hum of the city below, accusations flying like sparks, me accusing him of unfinished business, him calling out my insecurity as a wall I'd built from years of hiding. You think I don't see it? He shouted, pacing the small space. The way you flinch when Jordan teases us, like this is temporary? I'm all in, but are you? The question landed like a gut punch, leaving me breathless. I stormed out into the dusk, the ferry terminal a blur of tourists and salt air, replaying every moment. The storm night kiss, the park confession, the ring vow tease. Was I holding back, protecting my heart, or sabotaging us? Hours later, my phone buzzed with Riley's text. I'm sorry. Come home. Home. The word pulled me back, and by midnight, we were tangled on his bed, apologies murmured into skin, bodies reaffirming what words had fractured. I love you, he whispered against my collarbone, the first time either had said it aloud. I echoed it back, the syllables a key unlocking floodgates, tears mingling with laughter as the tension dissolved. Summer unfurled lazy and luminous, our rhythm syncing like a well-edited reel. We road-tripped the Olympic Peninsula, pitching a tent under ancient cedars where stars pierced the canopy like promises. Jordan and Mia tagged along for part, the four of us roasting marshmallows and swapping stories around a crackling fire. His ER horrors, her pediatric triumphs, Riley's mural tales, my film dreams. Watching Riley sketch the flames dance on notebook paper, his profile gilded by firelight, I felt a swell of gratitude so fierce it ached. This, us, them, the woven fabric, was the human warmth I'd craved. Yet, shadows lingered. Dad's health scare hit in July, a mild heart episode during a golf game, downplayed but rattling. We rallied, driving to the suburbs for a weekend that stretched taut with unspoken fears. Mom hovered, her new life in Portland a polite distance, while Dad joked weekly from his hospital bed about kicking the bucket before seeing grandkids. The quip landed heavy. Riley and I exchanged glances, the future's shape still fluid, uncharted. That night, in the guest room of my childhood home, with faded band posters peeling from walls, we lay awake, his head on my chest. Kids, huh? He murmured, fingers tracing lazy circles on my stomach. Someday, I replied, envisioning a life beyond labels, a home with laughter echoing, maybe little ones with his curls and my eyes. With you. His kiss was tender, sealing the vision, but dawn brought the real test, coming out to Dad, unscripted and raw over breakfast pancakes. Son, he said after, voice gruff with emotion, gripping my hand across the formica table, love's love. Just be happy. That's all I ask. Mom nodded, tears brimming, and in that sun-dappled kitchen, the last barrier crumbled. Fall semester kicked off with a vengeance. My film class is a vortex of critiques and caffeine, while Riley's show sold out, catapulting him into local buzz, interviews with the stranger, commissions from queer nonprofits. Pride swelled in me, watching him navigate spotlights with that humble glow, but envy crept in uninvited, a whisper questioning if I measured up. It peaked at the opening reception, a Capitol Hill loft pulsing with hipsters and art patrons, air thick with wine and whispered admirations. I hovered on the fringes, nursing a seltzer, feeling like an extra in his blockbuster. Theo slunk in midway, all brooding charisma and designer stubble, cornering Riley by a massive piece, two figures entwined in electric blues, evoking our storm night spark. Their laughter carried, intimate echoes of a past I couldn't touch, and something snapped. I slipped out, the cool September air a slap against flushed cheeks, wandering Pike Place under strings of lights where fishmongers hawked their wares to indifferent crowds. My phone stayed silent, guilt warring with hurt, until Jordan's voice cut through. Where the hell are you? Riley's freaking out. Back at the loft, Riley found me on the fire escape, city sprawl glittering below. You left without a word. Hurt etched his face, but understanding softened it. Theo's nothing, just ghosts. But you? You're mine now. My always. We talked it out there, legs dangling over the edge, vulnerability stripping us bare. I confessed the insecurity, the fear of being the supporting actor in his rising star. He listened, then pulled a crumpled flyer from his pocket. My student film fest entry, circled in red. This is you, Alex. Creating worlds. Don't sell yourself short. Forgiveness came easy after, sealed with a kiss tasting of Merlot and redemption, the party fading to background hum. Jordan, spotting us later, raised a brow but said nothing, his nod a quiet ally's seal. As leaves turned crimson, our lives intertwined deeper. Shared grocery lists scrawled on fridge magnets. Mornings where I'd wake to his coffee brewing, the aroma pulling me from dreams of celluloid reels. Holidays loomed, Thanksgiving a minefield with extended family. Uncle Ray's offhand, when you settling down with a nice girl, hanging like smoke. We dodged with deflections, but the strain showed, Riley withdrawing into sketches, me burying in scripts. The breaking point came post-feast, in Jordan's backyard under a harvest moon, away from Aunt's prying eyes. I can't keep pretending, Riley said, voice low, kicking at frost-tipped grass. Not for them. Not when every fake smile chips away at us. You're right. I pulled him close, the chill nipping but his warmth steadying. Next time, we say it loud. Together. Christmas brought resolve. We hosted a small gathering. Jordan, Mia, our parents, even Theo uninvited but forgiven in absentia. Over eggnog by the tree, twinkling lights casting halos, we announced it. Not with fanfare, but honesty. Riley and I, we're partners. Building a life. Hands clasped, breaths held. Mom's embrace was first, fierce and tearful. Dad's clap on Riley's back followed, gruff but genuine. Welcome to the madhouse, kid. Jordan grinned, popping champagne with a toast. To love that sticks, no matter the plot twists. The new year dawned crisp, resolutions etched in fresh snow. Mine, to pitch a feature on queer siblings navigating love. Riley's, a collaborative mural series with me directing the doc. We celebrated on New Year's Eve at a waterfront bash, midnight fireworks exploding over the sound as we kissed, the world remade in bursts of color. But growth demands friction, and spring unearthed old roots. Riley's folks, thawed by distance, reached out via email, tentative olive branches, invitations to Spokane for reconciliation. He agonized, torn between closure and caution, while I supported from the sidelines, masking my own terror of rejection's echo. The drive east was tense, Cascade Mountains a majestic barrier we crossed with held breaths. His childhood home loomed modest, flags waving in the inland empire wind. Dinner was civil, small talk over pot roast, mom's wary smiles, dad's averted eyes, but cracks showed, probing questions about lifestyle choices, Bible verses slipped like barbs. Riley held firm, voice steady as he laid it bare. The pain of their disownment, the joy I'd brought, the man he was unapologetically. I sat beside him, hand in his, a united front. Tears fell, apologies stammered, and by dessert, a fragile bridge formed. Not perfect, but standing. On the return ferry, wind whipping our hair, Riley turned to me, eyes bright. Thank you, for being my courage. Always, I replied, the water's vastness mirroring our expanding horizon. Summer's heat wave baked Seattle into submission. Ferries packed with sun-seekers, our apartment, now jointly leased in Fremont, troll statue grinning approval, a haven of fans whirring and iced teas sweating on sills. My thesis film wrapped principal photography, a labor of sweat and Seattle grit. Following a young queer couple's odyssey from isolation to alliance, shadows of our story woven in. Riley starred unofficially, his natural charisma stealing scenes, while Jordan cameoed as the skeptical sibling turned cheerleader. Festival season buzzed, my short snagging a spot at SIFF, red carpet nerves jangling like loose change. Riley prepped me with mock interviews, his pride palpable, but opening night brought a curveball. Theo, slouched in the audience, clapping loudest at Q&A. Post-screening reception hummed with accolades, but his approach chilled the high. Congrats laced with remember when we almost had this? Riley shut it down swift, arm around my waist. That's past. This is future. Theo slunk off, tail between legs, but the encounter stirred sediment, prompting late-night talks on balconies overlooking the ship canal, dissecting patterns of pursuit and possession. You're not him, I assured, tracing his tattoo in moonlight. You're you, flaws, fire, and all. Fall rains returned, a rhythmic underscore to deepening commitments. We adopted a rescue mutt, Luna, a wiry terrier mix with Riley's boundless energy, her wagging tail a daily reminder of chosen family. Jordan proposed to Mia during a rainy hike. Rings slipped on slick fingers, and we celebrated with rooftop barbecue, city skyline are confetti. Yet, whispers of change grew, my film garnering agent interest, whispers of LA for pilots, Riley's art pulling East Coast offers. The pull tugged, conversations circling relocation like wary dancers. West Coast suits us, he said one drizzly eve, curled on the couch with Luna snoring between. But if it's your dream, it's ours, I countered, kissing his temple. We chased together. Winter solstice brought clarity, a joint pitch, me helming a doc on Riley's murals, touring festivals nationwide. Compromise bloomed, roots extending without uprooting. Spring's thaw mirrored our thaw from isolation. Pride Month exploded in rainbows, our float entry, a makeshift trolley decked in painted panels of queer resilience. A hit, Jordan marching beside with Mia, signs aloft. Love wins, one story at a time. That night, after the parade's roar, we collapsed in bed, bodies spent but souls alight, whispering gratitudes into the dark. But trials temper joy. Dad's checkup revealed spots on his lungs. Early, treatable, but the word cancer landed like frost. We caravanned to treatments, holding vigil in sterile waits. Riley's sketches distracting Dad with visions of Pacific sunsets. Mom rallied too. Her Portland life paused for caregiving circles, our patchwork family stitching tighter. Through chemo chills and radiation glows, Dad's humor endured. Jokes about beating this so I can walk you down the aisle, boys, fueling our resolve. Riley and I tag team support, my scripts gathering dust but perspective sharpening. Art imitates life, but life demands presence. Remission came tentative in June, scans clear as summer skies, and we marked it with a backyard luau at Jordan's. Lay garlands, ukulele strums, toasts to warriors. Dad pulled me aside, eyes misty. You too. You're my best plot twist, Alex. The scare recalibrated us, priorities crystallizing like dew under dawn. I deferred LA whispers, channeling energy into the mural dock, camera capturing Riley's passion in raw strokes. Ladders teetering on urban edges, pigments blooming on brick like defiant flowers. Festival acceptances trickled, Sundance nod, a queer showcase in Provincetown. And we caravanned east, Greyhound rumbling through heartland plains, Luna's head in my lap. Road life bonded us deeper. Diner pit stops with greasy fries and deep talks, motel nights tangled in unfamiliar sheets. In Massachusetts, the screening packed a converted mill, audience gasps syncing with our heartbeats as Riley's voiceover wove tales of hidden loves. Q&A brimmed with questions on representation, resilience, and afterward, strangers hugged us, stories spilling like shared secrets. Back west, momentum surged, docs streaming on a niche platform, Riley's commissions flooding. But success bred strain, schedules clashing, exhaustion fraying tempers. A missed anniversary dinner escalated, me buried in edits, him at a late install, texts curt as winter wind. I need more than glimpses. He vented over takeout the next night. I shadowed. We're building empires, but losing us. Guilt twisted. I vowed recalibration, carving sacred slots, weekly date nights at our first bar, no phones, just presence. It mended, but highlighted the dance, balancing ambition with intimacy, a rhythm we learned step by aching step. Fall foliage tour followed, doc screenings threading New England to Midwest, each town a microcosm, welcoming enclaves, wary glances. In Chicago, a heckler at a post-show panel spat vitriol. This agenda poisons kids. Riley, unflinching, countered with grace. Love doesn't poison, it heals. The room erupted applause, but backstage, he crumbled, my arms his refuge. You're my shield, I murmured, holding him as sobs shook. And I'm yours. Winter wrapped us in introspection, holidays a mosaic. Jordan's wedding rehearsal in a snowy arboretum, us as co-best men, suits crisp against evergreens. Vows exchanged under mistletoe-draped arches echoed our unspoken ones, Mia's glow infectious. New Year's found us on a whim flight to Hawaii, Riley's treat, a reset amid volcanic shores. Black sand beaches stretched, waves crashing like applause, and there, at sunset's edge, he knelt again, this time with the ring, marry me, Alex. Make the after forever. Tears saltier than the sea, my yes a vow etched in lava flows. We phoned Jordan mid-flight back, his whoops crackling over turbulence. Spring wedding fever gripped, venue hunts in the Cascades, a rustic lodge with mountain views, guest lists blending artsy queer kin and straight-laced relatives. Mia officiated, her warmth weaving ceremonies. Bachelor, party devolved into karaoke chaos at a dive. Jordan belting show tunes off-key, Riley's serenade of our song Melting Me. The day dawned misty, vows exchanged under a floral arch, Jordan's tear-streaked grin, parents beaming. In storms and sun, Riley promised, ring sliding home. You're my horizon. Reception danced till stars wheeled, toasts toasting resilience. Dads, on beating odds. Moms, on chosen paths. As cake cut and first dance swayed to soft indie, I knew. This union, forged in thunder, was our masterpiece. Honeymoon whisked us to the Amalfi Coast, Riley's wanderlust pick, cliffs plunging to azure seas. Villa perches yielded lemon groves and lazy loves, mornings waking to espresso and his sketches of sun-dappled skin. We hiked Positano paths, hands linked, whispering futures, adopting Luna's sibling, maybe, or fostering artsy teens. Return thrust us into newlywed whirl, apartment upgrades to a queen and row house, balcony overlooking the Olympics. My feature script sold, a queer rom-dram, greenlit for indie production, and Riley's gallery went national, touring his series. Balance teetered, but date nights anchored. Ferry picnics, skyline silhouettes our backdrop. Anniversary one hit amid shoots, me directing on Whidbey Island, him installing in Portland. We rendezvoused midway, Olympic hot springs steaming under pines, bodies soaking aches away. 1 year, he toasted with bubbly, bubbles fizzing like our sparks. And infinite more. Parenthood whispers grew audible that fall, Luna's puppy playdates hinting at human additions. Consults with adoption agencies stirred hopes and hurdles. Home studies, waitlists, the system's queer biases. Yet, resolve hardened. We prepped, painting a nursery neutral as our dreams. Winter brought bounty, Dad's full remission party, a bonfire bash where he slow danced with Mom, rekindled sparks flickering. Jordan announced Mia's pregnancy, ultrasounds shared over brunches, aunt/uncle excitement bubbling. Our turn came spring, match email pinging, a newborn boy, relinquished, needing a home. Paperwork blurred in frantic joy, courthouse finalization a blur of tears and signatures. Elias arrived swaddled, tiny fists waving like flags of surrender to love. Fatherhood reshaped us, sleepless nights tag-teaming bottles, Elias's coups our new soundtrack. Riley's murals gained paternal depth, father-son motifs, tender and fierce. My next project pivoted, family docs, capturing queer dads navigating norms. Challenges reared, sleepless colic marathons testing tempers, societal side-eyes at playgrounds, but joys eclipsed. First steps wobbling to our cheers, bedtime stories laced with our tales. Elias's first pride, toddler toted on shoulders, rainbow flag clutched, sealed our circle. Jordan's family swelled too, nephew Theo arriving, namesake irony not lost, barbecues brimming with chaos and kin. As Elias turned 2, summers of beach days and berry picking, we reflected on the hook that started it. That stormy invite, the unexpected unraveling into this tapestry. Never dreamed this, Riley confessed one twilight, Elias dozing between, fireflies winking. Me neither, I replied, kissing his temple. But damn, it's perfect. Years layered like Seattle's strata, Elias growing lanky and inquisitive, his questions a mirror to my own youth. Why 2 dads? Met with honest hugs, bookshelves stocked with diverse tomes. School conferences brought ally trainings, our advocacy quiet but steadfast. PDA talks on inclusive curricula, Riley's school murals sparking dialogues. Career arcs curved. My film's Oscar-buzzed, a queer coming-of-age epic earning noms. Riley's installations museum-bound. TEDx invites dissecting art as activism. Jordan climbed hospital ranks. Mia's practice thriving. Their duo a parallel harmony. Family evolutions unfolded. Another adoption, sister Lila joining at 4, braids flying in park chases. Grandparents doted, dad's golf games now with tiny caddies, mom's Portland visits baking cookie lessons. Trials tempered, as ever, Elias's bullying bout in elementary, whispers of weird family stinging. We rallied, counseling, community circles, emerging stronger, his resilience a badge. Riley's creative block post-Lila hit hard. Canvas is blank, but therapy and tandem sketches with the kids unlocked floods. Anniversaries marked milestones. 10th at the lodge, vows renewed amid wildflowers, kids flower girl and ring bearer. 20th loomed, plans percolating, perhaps a European loop, echoes of Amalfi. Legacy beckoned. I mentored young queer filmmakers. Riley founded a youth art co-op, Spaces for Stories Untold. Jordan's foundation aided LGBTQ plus health access. Our bro trio unbreakable. One autumn eve, storm clouds gathering like old friends. Elias, now teen tall, sketching beside Riley, asked, "Dad, how do you know he was the one?" I glanced at Riley, curls silvered but smile eternal, Elias's mirror in miniature. Thunder told me, and every day since has whispered it true. As rain pattered, family huddled, laughter weaving through lightning's flash, I marveled. From that fateful knock, a universe birthed. Not perfect, scars and stumbles etched deep, but profoundly human. Love's messy, magnificent after. In the end, it's not the hook that defines us, but the line we cast forward, toward horizons shared, storms weathered, hearts entwined. And in that endless weave, we find meaning. That unexpected night's birth forever dawns.